So live now. It's live, presumably. Copy that link. I'm assuming. Oh, I think we're back. All right, we're back. Okay. Now that I've sent that there, hopefully I can now. All right. Let's see. Is that? I hope that's loud enough, because that's me speaking more normally. Cool. Now we also know that that link works. Oh, I got some stuff stuck on my hand. All right. First. Hell yeah. Nice, Chelsea. Oh. All right, cool. That's better. And then no, I can then. Oh, we'll see. All right. And then I'm just going to go on my phone. Yeah, good enough. All right, cool. That's it. That's probably better. All right, cool, cool. Now I'll just go for it. Um, Actually, hang on. One thing I want to do real quick. There we go. That's what I want to do. Cool. And then we can get rid of that. All right. So it's been about like what, a week and a half since 31st with the March for Australia. Um, so, you know, they had their fun little Magic Bus school excursion, and all the boys and girls came out, threw all their bloody plastic Chinese made Australian flags on the ground, and, you know, left us with quite the state. And of course, we also had the attack on bloody Camp Sovereignty, which was lovely by the NSN. So much for no connections at all between the two, I don't know, organizations. So anyway, we're going to do a little welfare check on the people who were hyping up this event because they're the main sort of marketing force behind it. They were, the social media influencers and far right demagogues talking about remigration, uh, talking about um, like the need to uh, protect and defend at first Australian culture and heritage, which we know ultimately comes back to Western European heritage and culture, and then inevitably white uh, heritage and culture. So these people, we know what their type is. Honestly, I was like, because I was at the march, I covered it. I was with a bunch of other journos who were also covering it, and a lot of my impressions, like this is just personal at the moment, a lot of my impressions was this felt very American in that a lot of their demands were very centered along American kind of political discourse, like free speech. Uh, I mean, the whole idea. I mean, to be fair, remigration's a new one. I haven't heard of that one before. So that must be the Aussie spin on it. Uh, but the whole idea of deportations and that migrants are the cause of all of our problems, and if we could just solve it all by getting rid of all of the migrants, but we can't really agree 100% on who is a migrant and who is Australian. Uh, it it was all very American, honestly. Like it just felt very framed through that. Now maybe that's because as someone who engages with a lot of media, I come across a lot of American politics, but I don't know. Anyway, so I don't want to focus on the 31st of August because irrelevant. That's the day after. What I care about is September because we've been that in September now for like what, 11 days, 9/11. And they've had 11 days to say how great the event was, but really try and set in stone what the whole purpose behind it was, especially considering the attack on Camp Sovereignty in Melbourne didn't doesn't really put a lot of it doesn't put a good taste in people's mouths. So I'm gonna go to Beck Freedom first. She's our favorite bogan queen, where she was the organizer of the Sydney march, but she was also kind of the co-organizer for all of them, more so like a marketer for all of them. I don't know. Anyway, so we have a great case where she was on a podcast. I can't even spell freedom correctly, which is awkward given that her name. Uh, and then, oh yeah, there was something about something happening in Sydney, some bar fight. Where was it? I want to look at. There was a thing that she did about, oh yeah, Jesse J.S., from what I understand, is her husband, and they both do it or did a podcast together. Just so we're aware of that. Um, Turning Point Australia, rather. I'm sure we'll get to, I'm sure we'll see some stuff at some point way at the top about bloody Charlie Kirk, because that's been the relevant news of late. Yep, highlighting her husband. Yep, cool, cool, cool. Where was it? Where is? Oh yeah, that was something I thought that was rather funny. In response to questions from Guardian Australia about the comments, Beck said, "Am I a nationalist? Yes. Am I white? Am I white? Yes. So I guess I'm a white nationalist." That's sort of the caliber of intellect we're dealing with here. Here we are. This is the thing that I wanted to start with. So she says, in regards to the NSN straight up lynch mob-esque attack on the camp sovereignty. She says, "Not everything is always as it seems. I don't condone violence from either side, but the truth should always be heard." We've heard it all before, folks. I don't condone violence on either side, but have a listen to this bullshit. So she then shares a post, a tweet, an X post, whatever it's called these days, by the Noticer. I kid you not, it's literally called the fucking Noticer. They noticed things. They noticed that something was awry with the NSN attack, or more so than media narrative, as they put it. So the real story behind the National Socialist Network storming Camp Sovereignty. Far left activists were attacking flag-wearing March for Australia attendees and vandalizing their cars, so nationalists hit back. Now, immediately red flags are going off. You can't click on a link here to go to the article. That's my immediate personal red flag. But thankfully, if we go, I did have them prepped here. So we go to the noticer because this shit, no joke. Oh, of course, already got shit about Charlie Kirk. Conservative activist Charlie Kirk assassinated at university event. And then they got him with his kids and his wife. Yeah, freed. Um, where is yeah? This noticer, they call themselves, to be clear, independent journalism. They are to independent journalism, I think, what, like, I can't really think of a fair comparison, I think. Uh, so where is the article? Denied by no. Just to actually, yeah, because there's even, yeah, that's that one. But was it? Because there was an article I saw that just the headline, I feel like really pushes really drives home the point that I'm trying to point across with the noticer. Where is it? Did they get rid of it? No. Is it further? Come on. God, it's only been a few days and I've already gone so much more bullshit out. It was something about a place being built. No, I don't know. Actually, I remember I had a thing on. because I had this. I had a bunch of screenshots prepped just in case. Yeah. The Notice had an article that no joke said Muslims are planning to build a huge new $12 million mosque in a semi-rural suburb on the outskirts of Sydney, where the population is set to explode from 10,000 to 90,000 in coming years. And Austral Islamic Center. That was a headline that they went with. Wait, that was the headline that they went with. And then if you look at the rest of their content in general, where was it? Win the immigrant vote and lose the country. Yeah, here we are. Muslims plan huge 12 million mosque for quiet suburb on outskirts of Sydney. There you go. Uh, Liberal MP says he wants more Indians in his Sydney electorate. African thug involved in fatal stabbing is shot dead in Melbourne Drive. Like it's all fear shit. It's all crime fear shit. It's all to make you scared of anyone who isn't white. Um, that's just it, and it's noticing. They notice it. So where is the article that we want? This one. So to be clear, again, Beck Freedom shared the post by this whoever they are, because I'm pretty sure we don't even get an author here. Yeah, you don't get an author. So the noticer, whoever that is, factual news, uncensored views. Uh, Beck Freedom is sharing this. She is the one who organized the Sydney March. She shared this with stating that that oh yeah, the violence was bad that we know about the NSN. But did you know there's more to find out? Did you know there's more? Did you know that maybe the NSN were right to do it? We don't have anything to do with them. We don't want to be affiliated. We don't want you to think of us as Nazis. We're not doing a Nazi thing. We're not neo-Nazis. We don't agree with them. But did you consider that maybe they had a reason to do what they did here? Which, if you then go into the details, nationalist activists have clashed with far-left counter-protesters who witnesses say were attacking flag-wearing March for Australia rally attendees near an illegal Aboriginal camp in Melbourne CBD. Just want to point out the I don't know what the actual legal jurisdiction, designation, whatever you want to call it, for camp sovereignty is at the moment. I only have a very surface level understanding of what camp sovereignty is. It looks cool. It just looks like a cultural educational site. I don't know what's wrong with that. But otherwise, it's known as an illegal Aboriginal squatter camp, as if they're like setting up some sort of like commune. Video taken by anti-Australian Aboriginal activists. Case in point of language used. Video taken by anti-Australian Aboriginal activists and left-wing extremist groups shows about 70 members of the National Socialist Network (NSN), including leader Thomas Sowell, charged up a hill at the King's Domain. So that's like I think that's like the name of the park or whatever, where so-called camp sovereignty is set up late on Sunday afternoon. Camp sovereignty is an unlawful encampment where militant anti-Australian Indigenous activists want to seize public land for themselves and has been the subject of repeated calls to be dismantled since it was established in January 2024. Look out, guys. This is the beginning of the revolution. This is the beginning of the black nation being constructed in our country. We're noticing this. We're noticing a revolution happening because of anti-Australian Aboriginal activists. And I have to say, it's weird that I don't know if it's necessarily inherently racist or whatever, implies racism, that they have Aboriginal with a lowercase and there as well. and here it's just indigenous. It just feels weird. It's a very, I don't know, it almost feels intentional. Witnesses told, we're getting a lot of witnesses noticing things, told Noticer News a group of far-left counter-protesters were using the encampment as a base to attack individuals or small groups leaving the nearby March for Australia rally as a result of their attendance at the demonstration. Let's just watch this video.
Fucking hell.
Jesus, it's 16 minutes long.
What? Leave! You fucking cow!
Perfect, brilliant. That is the type of eyewitness accounts I love to use for my evidence. Jesus Christ. Noticer News understands several people wearing Australian flags were attacked and left bleeding from facial injuries, and at one point, a group of dozens of left-wing activists attacked two Australian patriots. Two Australian patriots, motherfuckers. They sacrificed themselves. They didn't die, but the beatings they took, it was a sacrifice for the country. Remember, this was for Australia. During the left-wing political violence and photos, attacked two Australian patriots during the left-wing political violence, and photos shows cars that were spray painted and scratched, which I think, yeah, there's. One witness said he was sitting in his car a short distance from the encampment when he saw two guys in their mid-20s who had been beaten up walk past. They told me that 10 to 20 people had sighted them walking out of the CBD, run down a hill, and beat them into the ground before laying the boot into them. This camp on top of the hill was not peaceful. They were gang bashing normal attendees of the rally as they were leaving solo in pairs. The people in the camp were the cowards attacking peaceful attendees. Then the NSN rolled them. And see, this is how these things start, isn't it? Because like I believe that a guy said that, but considering that we already know that they definitely were people going to the rally. I feel like the choice of words that they're using here, the people in the camp were the cowards attacking peaceful attendees. Then the NSN rolled them. It just feels weird. A second witness said they're doing a lot of noticing. I'll give them that. A second witness said he saw a group of anti-fascists come down from the hill to attack two white Australians, patriots, mind you, and claimed police were present during the assault. Now, this is interesting because I believe we did know I think it was like we knew that there was a police car nearby. It was like a police car, a patrol car that drove past as the Nazis ran up the hill and attacked. I'm pretty sure that's been understood. I might be wrong on that, but this is interesting. I saw the man being punched in the head and kicked while on the ground. Two police officers on motorcycles were present at the scene but appeared reluctant to intervene. Police officers hate beating up far left activists. I was in the area to collect two friends who had also been targeted by the same group. So people, again, they're all, mind you, none of these witnesses so far have been like unbiased individuals or like just. I think there was one guy who was, as far as we know, he's just a normal dude who has no idea about any of this, who's just so happens to be in the area. Uh, Another witness said they were using the hill to pick off twos and threes going back to cars. After each attack, they went back to the hill. They descended on two random patriots again and beat them 50 on 2. Now that sounds fucking stupid. Beat them 50 on 2? How the fuck do you even fit 50 people into a huddle to be able to beat up two people? But like, I mean, this is again the racist sort of what is it? The sort of hyperbole and exaggerations that are often done by people when engaging in racism. They'll make out that like that they got beaten up by like 100 fucking indigenous guys, and it was really just like two people who, like like fucking the patriot in question initiated it or whatever, and then these guys just beat them up. Or even if they didn't initiate it, like 50 on 2, come on. The NSN and other March for Australia protesters were alerted to the violence at about 5 p.m. and ran up in the hill in pursuit, seizing two Aboriginal flags, which keep that in mind. They weren't there to defend anyone. They were there to attack, take flags, hurt people. It was this isn't a defensive thing. Um, Psycho Smooth Brain, exactly, Shelby one. Uh, and also keep in mind the NSN and other March for Australia protesters. Now, obviously, we don't know who the noticer is. Again, they don't provide an author, and we don't know. Well, I mean, we can tell pretty obviously where their allegiances lie, but we don't know that they're necessarily someone within March for Australia or whatever, because March for Australia really wants to disassociate from it, but they're unfortunately um, they're unfortunately burdened by the fact that a lot of the people who tend to want to go to a March for Australia rally, they're not going to avoid hanging around with the Nazis on first principles. Like, it's normally just an aesthetic thing, and once they go, oh, we're doing this together, it's okay. And so, oh, the NSN and other March for Australia protesters together were alerted to the violence at about 5 p.m., ran up the hill together, holding hands, brothers in arms, seized two Aboriginal flags, clashed with leftist counter protesters, and camp sovereignty occupants, whatever. Like, and we're supposed to believe that y'all aren't hand in hand in any other way? Like, come on, man. Y'all literally were beating black people together. What more brotherly can you become? It's just, I'm getting more out of the camera. Anyway, so video. Make sure I didn't pop that. Video shows panicked female voices shouting, "Fuck off, this is Aboriginal land," and "Leave, leave," while others stood around in Palestinian scarves. Two masked males threw large logs at the nationalist group. I find that very funny. The Pro-Australia group, remember the Patriots. Again, now we're just saying the Pro-Australia, so the neo-Nazis. So the neo-Nazis. It took them this long. But we got them. They acknowledge it. The Pro-Australia group then chanted Aussie, 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 oi, 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 and trampled on one of the Aboriginal flags, defending. Remember, this was in defense of Patriots being attacked. Victoria's police said no arrests were made, but an investigation was ongoing. Far-left activists told corporate media outlets that 4 people were injured and admitted throwing logs during the clash. Oh no! They threw logs! But hey, they admitted it. I love this too. I love this. This is like their sign-off message for like the proper article. For the proper article bit, this is like their sign-off message, right? Where they say, oh shit, where they say, far left activists told corporate media outlets. Yeah, I mean, they probably just sent an email. Like, or a message. Like, alright, bro. Were you injured by the far left mob? Email, photos, and video. Like that's what they did. That's what they did. That's how the news works. Welcome. Welcome to the news. But yeah, so that's these guys. That's these lovely motherfuckers. Um, Least Far Patrick Valley iconic monument. Just saying. And these are ones masked in white. They they're making it easier and easier, which in a way kind of makes it scarier because they're more indignant that they're not Nazis. Anyway, so getting back to the main point, Beck Freedom is already like so the noticer laundering pro NSN uh I don't know conspiracy theories about the Kant sovereignty attack. That pretty clear. Um, but Beck Freedom, like I don't know what the actually I want to say what is the reach of the noticer? They have more than Beck, I think. I think that's yeah. Well, anyways, but nonetheless, she makes it. She spreads it to her particular crazy people, and that's the thing that's more important here, because then we move on to the next stage where we have a lovely long screed about her. I guess she's taking issue. She's got a critique of the if you platform Nazis, then you're a Nazi. I don't know what just happened there. Okay. So she's got a critique. Yeah, okay, let's hear it. I'm all, free market of of ideas, open market of ideas, free market of open ideas. Something. Free speech. I'm all about it. I'm all here for it. I don't believe that like just because you talk to a person that you don't necessarily agree with means that you are that. I understand cancel culture can be a bit much at times. Totally, sure. Let's hear it. Let's hear what's it's you're saying here, this claim of quote, you let Nazis speak, it makes you a Nazi, really is flawed. Okay, let's hear it. Let's hear how it's flawed. I also let what some class as sovereign citizens speak. Does that make me a sovereign citizen? I mean, to be fair, maybe not. Maybe not. Like, if you just speak into one. I mean, I remember one time, I don't know if he was a sovereign citizen, to be fair, but he definitely, in retrospect, spoke like one. I worked alongside, like there was a guy who worked at the same place I worked at, and one time I got talking to him, and over the course of that conversation, he started saying things like, I've learnt more things on the internet. What was it he said? I think he said, I've learnt twice as many things on the internet in 2 years than I've learnt in my entire life from anything else. And he's like, 40. He was 40 or something at the time, and that was when I realized, oh dear, this is concerning. This was like now 10 years ago. My point being, I don't think because I was talking to him that made me like a conspiracy theorist. He was definitely a conspiracy theorist. He didn't believe in like the whole moon landing shit. Doesn't make you one. But Beck, but Beck, Beck. I know that you know. Maybe that I don't know if you know that I know, but nonetheless, I know that you have a podcast or had a podcast with your husband as a co-host where you are explicitly talking to people, some of them in particular, who are sovereign citizens. Now, I haven't actually listened to all the podcasts yet because, they're like an hour and a half each, however long. I don't know. Um, I've only gotten a little bit through the last episode because it's the more interesting one to me because it had the guy from the National Works Alliance, the like white Nazi thing. So I might watch them on here now just because that might be more amusing, but that can be for another time. Anyways, I let us. This is when then her idea falls to pieces. I let a lawyer speak. Does that make me a lawyer? No, no, it does not. Last I checked, that requires a degree, education, training, experience, connections, maybe. Same with I let a politician speak. Does that make me a politician? Now, granted, going with the way that like people's, I don't know, the resume that is required to be a politician these days is becoming ever so smaller and smaller, and it's soon going to be like, have you ever been in politics? No. Have you ever done anything in your life? No. Have you ranted about the homeless welfare recipients and the indigenous on Twitter? Yes. All right, you're in. You're now the district representative of Benalbo or some shit. Like, but nonetheless, still, it's a job. It's not the same. Nazi, sovereign citizen, these are ideologies. These are belief systems, if you will, that it requires you to actually believe in to really be one. You know, some could say it's a bit like, no, I'm not going to do that. But no, well, some could say it's a lot like with religion. You know, it's really difficult to, it might feel difficult to call someone like a Christian or whatever if they're not really a Christian. But if they call themselves a Christian, but they're not really a Christian, then like if they don't believe in any of the aspects of it, like Jesus or whatever, then I don't know. Yeah, then they're not. But just because you speak to one doesn't make you one. A politician, a lawyer, like again, it's a job. I am an Australian nationalist. I'm glad that we've reached that stage. Who believes in freedom of speech, and I will continue to be an Australian nationalist who believes in freedom of speech, despite the narratives that some of you and the media choose to put out there. So, just to be clear, because to be fair, I guess I'm one of the media and the narrative creators here. Most of what people were talking about with in particular Bet Freedom too, and the March for Australia, the neo-Nazis, NSN, all of the links that was being found. Like no one was saying that she is NSN. No one was saying that she was a part of NSN. But it was like you, you do say a lot of racist shit, and then these guys want to come along, and there's a few people that are feeling like we know the background now, but that was reported on. It's not like narratives, and it's it was reporting. We didn't just make they didn't people didn't just make that shit up out of nowhere. We just noticed shit and pointed it out. It's the issue I have with the term of fear mongering. Hang on, I'm gonna sneeze. It's the issue I have with the term fear mongering that I hear being used so much in reference to the coverage. It's like it's not fear mongering if it's true. It's not fear mongering. The whole point about the fear mongering thing is if you're just like adding creative flair to what you're saying about it, that's fear mongering. You know that there's no basis to it. You're wait. Oh yeah, you are doing the exact thing the media wanted you to do. You are fighting fiercely to defend your position in society, and you are fighting fiercely to prevent being labeled as what the media sets out to label you as. I think she's doing the whole like silent majority shit there, like doing the whole like I see you, I hear you, I feel you, I smell you. Um, I understand your frustrations. I think that's what she's doing here. My intention in terms of groups like the NSN attending never changed. Not once, and I'm sorry, but moving forward it still won't change. If you don't like that, these events may not be for you. So again, this one confuses me because it's like, so are you referring to the fact that they did show up at the end of the day? Or are you referring to the fact that you said that you didn't want them to show up? Because at the end of the day, they did. Not everything went to plan on the day. Yeah, there were a lot of Nazis. But I made it work as best I could. You're all complaining about the NSN being up front at the march. Well, I mean, that is a bad thing. That is a big problem. And it was at quite a few. It wasn't just Sydney where you did it. It wasn't just Melbourne where the Camp Sovereignty attack happened. It was also in Brisbane. I remember seeing that footage. I haven't seen much of the other cities off the top of my head because those were the main ones. But like, as the organizer, you should probably be able to prevent the NSN guys from being at the front of the march. I don't know. I mean, I haven't organized anything like that to be fair, but I feel like that's somewhere in your power. Uh, I also can't control where people walk. Have you ever told someone where they can and can't walk at a protest? This is another thing. I don't think they realize I don't think they understand what they want here. Are they the protest or are they just a march? Because, like, you can be both a march and a protest, of course, but it was just a march. They weren't protesting anything. I mean, I guess they were protesting the migration system, like what existing, but like it wasn't really a protest. The counter protesters were the protesters. Um, It normally doesn't end well, but you are all failing to acknowledge the 3 to 4 brave older women who came to the front. They marched strong and proud for Australia, and I'd personally love to thank and praise them. With the NSN, with the old grannies, the old Nazi grannies. They were there with like jackets and vests and like patches and whatnot, with like Nazi fucking iconography all over them. Jesus. Um, We all need to stand strong in our beliefs, and we need to stick to our morals. If you agreed with me before but are disagreeing with me after the smear campaign, if you are disagreeing with me now after all of these connections have been reported on, after all of this really embarrassing media coverage of like Nazi attacks and Nazi salutes and Nazi speeches, if you're now disagreeing with me, you should be ashamed of yourself. You should be ashamed of yourself. Don't forget, you all followed me for a reason, and that reason never changed. I love this bit. I'm still that loud-mouthed Aussie chick who says what most of you agree with, but are too scared to say out loud. And I will forever be that same chick. Like, oh man, she's definitely late 30s. I feel it. I feel it in my bones. She has to be Gen X. Wait, no. Oh fuck, Gen X is 50s now or something, aren't they? Oh god. Hang on one sec. Nope. Right, close them. Oh dear. Alright, get rid of that. Alright. So then, the next thing that I wanted to really see from this true blue saying what we were just too scared to say chick, Aussie chick. What else she has to say? Um, oh no, that's just. Oh yeah, no, I remember reading this one before. This is some guy with 71, 71 with terminal cancer who's like, I've been concerned with the way our country's heading. Actually, I've never seen it worse than it is today. The marches are one of the best things I've seen in my life. I now know If you and your organizers keep up your great and valuable, important work, we will get our country back. It's so sad, man. Like, this is what they mean. Like, this is what it is. Get our country back. From people coming from overseas to come here. That is what it is, fundamentally. Most of these people just want to, like, I don't know, make your pizza or fucking drive your burrito to your house. Like, Jesus Christ. Um, that one I remember being boring. I did pre-watched. Some of this I did. Ah, but this one is good. I remember this one, yeah. Because if this guy gets it, why can't a bunch of virtue signaling white people? Now, I feel somewhat called out here. I'm not a virtue signaling person, to be fair. I'm not really a fan of it. But to be fair, what they consider virtue signaling these days, the, the definitions are blurred beyond compare. So
Let's talk about the march on the 31st of August. People keep asking if I'm going, and the answer's fuck no. Why? It's organised by the NSN. These guys. And one of the main ladies behind this is what she had to say.
I said, okay, so protect Australian heritage, culture, way of life. The next step, protect European culture, heritage, way of life. The next step is protect white heritage. So it all means
just to say, this was that audio clip that that had been like released, covered on multiple times early on when it was found out that she was involved in the organizing. Like, I think that was the ABC who grabbed onto that. They were grabbed onto that particular audio piece, and like, yeah, it's you know. I'd say it kind of is the mask coming quite the fuck off. It's pretty clear. It's pretty evident what she's getting at there. That simply by referring to Australian culture, that you can then slowly but surely move people into actually really just understanding that what you mean is white culture. You know, like that you get through all the steps and that it ultimately just means white culture. And that's sort of just the gradual process of cutting down and cutting down and consolidating on your power, the power group, and cutting out all of the few people you want to consider that you don't no longer want to consider within the in group. So like that's why like you have a lot at the Oz March. You had a lot who were migrants or their parents were migrants, but they're so in on the brainwashed propaganda of it all that they see it like um, they see like that this is their means of showing like to be properly accepted, and so like those people when we reach the stage of where it means European, those people then get cut out, and then when we go to the white culture, like I don't know, then I guess we cut out like Irish people and Italians and something like that. But anyway, that was the context of that video.
means the same thing.
Look, for most of you guys are too soft for this kind of conversation because you guys get offended easily.
Please tell it to me, Mr. Kiwi man, with the thick as fuck Kiwi accent. Please tell me, an Australian, how I should think about my Australian culture, about issues in my country. You tell me. All right, let's hear it.
Everything this lady just said,
I'm offended.
take out the word white and put black in there.
All right, so this is the problem. That does not exist. There is currently no movement in Australia at the moment. No, even if you, all right, fine, civil rights movements, whatever, that have ever been about creating a black ethno state. There have been conspiracy theories about it. We read one, kind of, by the noticer, noticing things. I'm noticing things here right now. You don't even know how this shit works. Like, oh. Like, no. No, you can't just switch out white for black because it's the contexts are completely different. And even if we wanted to ignore all that, um, I'd still say it's pretty kind of weird to then defend the idea of having Australian culture be connected to white culture. Because I'm someone who thinks, while I have issues with the establishment of the country of Australia and whatnot, at the end of the day, I've grown up Australian. That's the way I've grown up. And I do like to believe that this country can be a place where anyone can come and anyone from wherever can be what they want to be. Um, but I lost my point. White. He was talking about how we have white culture if we switch. Oh yeah, but like to then make to then defend this idea of Australian. It's just it's annoying because then they'll turn around and say that you don't have to be. We're not referring to white people. It's what it. Yeah.
Black heritage, protect black culture. Is it still
Look at her
racist?
going.
Or is it only racist when white people do it? Media froth over this. If this was a black march, or an Asian march, or a Pacific Islander march, this would be called diversity and
So the reason why, if we had a black march, well, actually, think about it. If it was a solely black march, that's not really diversity even there because, like, yeah, it's just a solely black group of people. Like, I don't know. But most of the time, when you do have marches that are meant to be like about issues related to the black community, Asian community, whatever, it's normally not just people within that community. You normally do have quite a diverse range of people coming out. And I think that's the issue is that there's that. And then when we had the March for Australia rallies, it was a sea of white. It's a bit different, just from an optics point of view, even.
equality and all of that.
100%.
The moment white people do it, you're deemed the neo-Nazi and the racist because you can't do anything for white people these days.
Can't do anything for white people these days. You can't do anything for white people. Oh, God. I'm so sick of hearing Kiwis talk about coming to this country and talking about our politics. Jesus Christ. He must feel so good being their token.
I love that somebody that's not white
Ah!
gets this. I love it.
I love
I
it
still
too,
stand by
Beck.
the fact that that clip was taken out of context. It was 100%.
What context
But even
what context could really have helped you there? What context, other than saying, just to be clear, I don't believe in, etc., etc. I feel like that's the only context that can really save you in this. Like, it was pretty straightforward. It was pretty straightforward.
if I did mean it the way you all said I did, that was the only focus of this event, that it was only for white people,
No one said that.
what would be the problem with that? Because we
I fucking love her. I do love this. I mean, I love I have a sort of masochistic love of watching right wing dumb fucks just saying what they think. Oh, what would be the problem if it was actually a white only march, or what was it like that we said it was only for white people? No one has said, but from just for the record, because I feel like what they're getting at is like because they're simultaneously of the opinion that we need to have an Australian march because we're sick of seeing marches for things like Palestine, where we have people who aren't Palestinian going out on the streets talking about how we people who aren't Palestinian need to give a fuck about Palestine. So I'm trying to get my charger in. There we go. But then simultaneously you're trying to make out that, well, you can't call us racist because, well, when you guys have a black rally. I keep forgetting you're not supposed to try and call out the hypocrisy because they don't fucking believe in any of this shit.
We have things like Black Lives Matter, and that's okay, right? But if it was a white
Oh,
only
bye,
march,
T.
which
Richards.
it never was, I never said that. You guys did, but I never said that. But what would be the problem? You can't stand up for white people. You can't. Not in today's society. I mean, I can
Can't.
and I will, but you can't.
You can't stand
You
up
get
for
judged for it. You get called racist and
Get called
a bigot
racist.
and a fascist. I've never experienced as much racism as what I have since first planning these events.
Oh. Oh. That is some white woman brain there. That is some white woman energy. Whew. Never have I experienced more racism since I started organizing and announced organizing the rally about protecting our culture because it's being destroyed by other cultures, according to us.
And normally it's people that are having a go at me for being racist. So it's
Yeah, I mean, you tend to get that, don't you, when you're racist to someone, like not to defend if they are being racist, but I'm taking it that it's just that they referred to you as white. I'm going to assume it's just they called you white, and you're just like, oh my God, they called me white. You are the real racist.
it's how dare you say no foreign flags, you white trash bogan bitch.
Oh, literally.
Okay. If you swapped the word white and black and I was saying that to them, mate, I'd be getting done for a hate crime.
Yeah, I guess you would. I mean, apparently you were already being racist, so I feel like, what's the separate difference? Oh God, I hate how it really is just the word white black. They don't. It's that's it. They can't internalize anything else. Like they can't imagine how like they can't understand how the term no foreign flags at a rally like it's not even just the term no foreign flags because I guess you could say like in a vacuum like what's the problem with that? But like it's the whole thing. It's this whole thing. It's what it all amounts to. It's what it all amounts to. And but to them, racism is just you said a mean thing after or before saying white, and I am white. Therefore, racism. If I said a bad thing with black before or after, and you were black, then that would also be racist. Otherwise, I'm not a racist.
But it's not hateful when you say it to me, is it? Because that's okay, because I'm white and I'm trash. There is nothing wrong with being proud of your Australian European culture or your Australian European heritage or way of life.
Australians and Europeans have vastly different ways of life. Like in the sense of how human beings can have different ways of life, we are very different. They are a lot more like um honestly, they're more chill. Like they tend to like because they've got the whole like they're jaded and they don't really give a fuck about certain aspects. They're not so overly fixated on things like sex and I guess drug use and like vices and whatnot. Um, which is very different to Australia. We still have quite the judgy society, and also just based off of not to go all Marxist, but just based off of how the country started, like Europe developed from like multiple different villages and little things interconnecting and it's all one big mass, while Australia started from like a few little settlements and beating up black indigenous people and like it's very different. It's very different. We have very vastly different um types of societies, like even the way our houses are very different. Thus, our perceptions are very different. So it's very funny to say like we want to protect our European way of life when a lot of things like there are obviously a lot of ways that there is European, I don't know, influence or whatever in Australian way of life, but it's been the case with every other group of people that have also come here. So like that's why we're a multicultural country. Um, and I do find it funny that any attempt, like they always phrase it as we want to protect white culture, which it's always white culture, Australian culture, or Western culture, European culture, whatever. And I find whatever they own, the only things they ever actually mean, because they never really then explain what that means. And it really comes down to things like subservience, like being subservient to a cop, being subservient to your boss, being subservient to the teacher, to your parent, or it's things like, um, oh yeah, stealing from other people's cultures. That seems to be white culture. And I don't mean that in like a really like, oh, white people racist bad. I mean that in the sense of like white people have had their culture white people have had their culture taken away from them, but by white people, who are wealthy and who have reasons for doing it. Because like depending on by what era you want to go by the definitions of white, like used to be the Irish weren't white, but now we consider them white. But then you think about like, okay, well the Celtics and whatnot, there's very few Celtics anymore. I wonder why that might have been. It's And even after the Roman Empire, like the Celtics still had sort of like thriving cultural groups and had a lot of that stamped out by colonialist British. And so it's like whenever they talk about protecting culture, they are always, almost always, really just getting at we feel threatened by the existence of other cultures, and thus we want to destroy them. Thus, we need to destroy them for ours to exist. Yet, protecting your culture, like in the sense of what they're trying to make it out to be, like, oh, we just want to protect our culture, whatever. Like, they make it out as if they're just wanting to keep it going or whatever. But that's like they don't actually ever engage with white culture or whatever they consider white culture. Like what they dress up like bogan superheroes on Australia Day. Like good job, guys. Like, do you read Henry Lawson and Banjo Patterson while chilling out on the deck on the weekends? Like, I don't really think you're engaging with Australian, like authentic Australian culture. Um, at all.
There's a reason why everybody wants to come to Australia.
Yeah, because their countries have been blown to shit and we're partly involved in it, and so they come here because we've got the money. That's why. I love when I love when they point out that Australia is so great because that's why people come here. It's like, yes, because we are involved in the destruction of their country and the reason why they can't stay home and have a reasonable, happy life there where they have a job or a business or, at least their family. Like, they could have it there, but no, we had to blow it up for oil or what other resources we wanted.
It's our way of life and our culture and our heritage. But
they don't care about that.
Stand up and defend that. We're racist and we're fascist and we're bigots. Look, I love this guy. I've only just found him thanks to somebody else sharing his video.
I just found this guy, my new little token, my new little Kiwi token over here. So yeah, so like so far with Beck, I mean, hey, we're only up to September 4th, so we still got more to go. But so far it feels like Beck is sort of doubling down with everything, which is what you would expect. That's what you expect with most of this stuff. Apparently there's some issues there. There was. Oh, here we go. Another notice article. Let's see. Props to the ones that tried to help him. Much pretend he was viciously attacked by a mob. Oh, yeah. There was something about a guy who was viciously attacked by counter protesters. I don't know. This is more to do with the sovereignty thing. Let's listen.
Ground and operate in a proper manner and talk to her. And she did. One of them wanted to step into the fire and she said, nah, stop that. Are you recording this?
Yeah.
Anyway, she ended up talking to them in a proper manner and respectful, and they all walked away. No problem. That's how business is done here, by doing that. An hour later, people seen someone walking past with holding them Australian flag, and they heckled and chased them down there, chased them around the corner and chased them off. And I didn't see what happened after that, but I wanted to tell them not to do that, because we're not here for this sort of rubbish trouble. So I let it slide, and then 3 hours later, I seen somebody else walking down the other side, and then they all decided to go and chase after him, and they managed to catch him, and then a big fight went on, and they were knocking one another out and everything. And then after that, those fellas, they all took off. It was only a matter of time. That's when the Nazis came, because they went back into the city and told them what happened, and then 60 of them came here and attacked the entire camp. That was done because of the idiots inside the camp that caused that. Chasing after people. We're not here to chase after people. Want me to show you how that goes? Because if you're looking for trouble, you don't have to, because trouble's looking for you, and it's around every goddamn corner.
Yeah, Uncle.
So you don't have to go running after looking for it. And we're not here for that. We're here for serious business. With the rock, with the dead underneath, ceremonial fire, and what Camp Sovereign is about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're gonna come. You come correct.
For a reason. And you use your brains. This muscle you use, not that one. And that trouble.
Yeah.